What stopped you from CS? I flipped a coin. I had been planning to CS for a while, and I finally decided to go through with it. Once my family had gone to sleep, I grabbed my R, loaded it, sat down in my living room, and put the R in my mouth. Leading up to that moment, I was sure that this was something I wanted to do, but when the time came to actually pull the trigger, I started to second guess myself. I was extremely conflicted, so I thought the best thing to do was to flip a coin. I put my rifle down and grabbed a coin. I told myself that if it landed on heads I would go through with it, and if it landed on tails I would go to bed. I honestly don't remember what the coin landed on. I don't know if I even checked to see what it had landing on. All I remember is that when the coin was in the air I was hoping it would land on tails, and that told me everything I needed to know. I packed everything up and went to bed as if nothing had happened. I spent the next few years not feeling any better, but I worked on myself a lot and I'm glad that I had a chance to do so. That was 6 years ago and this is the first time I've told this story. I'm doing a lot better now and I'm happy with the person I've grown up to be, and I owe it all to a coin. The coin I flipped that night is currently sitting in a box on my shelf as a reminder of everything I love in this world, and all the reasons why I don't want to leave it just yet. Former fat people have read it. What's an actual trick that helped you lose weight? When you get a craving for something, instead of telling yourself no, tell yourself later. It's a little psychological trick that seems to work for some reason. The human brain doesn't like never, but it can handle not now just fine. Weird, I know. Drinking as much water as you're supposed to. Sometimes the body makes you think you're hungry when you're actually thirsty. Eat less, move more. It's not about tricks, it's a permanent change of lifestyle that does it. Get a job that involves constant movement. Started mine in August of last year. Am I the a-hole for refusing to let my family see my son until they make a formal apology to my wife and announce it online? This happened 3 years after my brother Todd passed away. I was pretty devastated, honestly. My whole family was. At the time I was working in a different state. After those 3 years I moved back home. So everyone knows everyone back home, and that's how me and Mia, who was Todd's fiancée before he passed, met at a friend's birthday. We had not seen each other in so long. So we became friends after that. And months later we realized we liked each other more than just friends, but neither of us told anyone about our relationship. Not until 6 months later when the relationship was serious. Of course my family was against it. My mom especially didn't want to talk to either of us for a while. Mia got pregnant 7 months after that. Before, when it was only us in a relationship, everyone just wanted to keep distance, but once they heard she was pregnant all hell broke loose. My sister was the most vicious because she started telling everyone we were sleeping together before my brother passed, with how quickly we moved on to be together. None of it was true, obviously. I never would have done something that awful to my own brother. There's also the fact that we didn't even live in the same state. It got so ugly. Some in Mia's family started questioning if it was true, others believed what my family was saying. My mom told me she didn't have a son anymore for disrespecting my brother's memory. It was so hurtful for both of us. We decided to move a couple hours away and blocked everyone to start fresh. We are happily married, our son is 3 years old and expecting our second little one. My family now wants to make amends so they can be part of our lives. My mom and sister have apologized so many times on the phone that they let their grief make them react horribly to the news when they never should have treated me that way. I can get grief making you do things you normally wouldn't because it happened to me. My wife and I talked it over. We decided that we would only consider if they not only apologized to my wife but made a public announcement online and admit all the lies they made up about our affair. My family is refusing because they're embarrassed and ashamed of what they did, and it would be too hard since everyone who see it still live around them. My mom says she understands what they put us through, but to please not make this any harder on them when we can just make amends now. But I haven't changed my mind. My dad keeps asking how heartless am I to want to make them humiliate themselves to all the people. He thinks it's beyond petty since my mom and everyone already learned their lesson, and why am I trying to out her through more after losing Todd and she just wants her family back. I'm not sure if it's really that I'm being too harsh on them for how they acted in their grief, or this is a reasonable request after what they did. Am I the a-hole? What is the most effed up thing that happened in your high school? They started charging us for ketchup in the cafeteria. Most of the school boycotted cafeteria lunch and brought all manner of condiments from home. We were on CNN. They eventually caved. The 25-year-old gym teacher got a 14-year-old student pregnant. The whole town backed him. Daddy was a former mayor. Because she had worn tank tops and seduced him. Luckily the jury felt otherwise. It was weird having him for health, sex ed while waiting for his arrest. A worker doing stuff on the roof. He fell off. Landed in a quad at lunch. A large piece of machinery fell and squished his head. Like a cartoon, only not as funny. Like 150 kids saw this. Girl gave a BJ to some dude on the stairs. Everyone circled around them so he can get his load off. Teachers sleeping with students. People bringing guns and drugs to school. A classmate who was often on Xanax and brought his gun to school was killed only a few years after graduation.